Hello everyone, welcome back to the second chapter of this website designing course. So today basically we will be talking about HTML, CSS and Bootstrap. So what exactly is HTML, CSS and Bootstrap? So in the introduction chapter, I already told you that as a web designer, your world will revolve around this software, which is nothing but Chrome or any other web browser such as Edge, right? So all of these browsers, they understand a language, and what language it is, let us see it ourselves. So I am just going on the very top. You can see over here on the very top right hand side, I am clicking on these three button, and after clicking on this three button I will go to more tools, and in more tools I will find something called as developer options. So this is somewhere you need to click on. You can get these developer options even by pressing F12. So in my laptop it is function key and F12. Just go ahead and click over here, and over here you can see something called as elements. So one thing like I want you to know before you just start up with this course is like whenever you are designing a website, you should always make sure that the website is mobile responsive. So what exactly mobile responsive means? So for that, here we have these two buttons. You can find these two buttons over here, and in these two buttons I will just click on this button, that is toggle device. This one, toggle device toolbar. So this button is something which will show you how your website will look if you see it on a mobile device. So you can see on the left side we have this mobile device, and this mobile device is this much, like the dimensions of this mobile device is this. And if I see, I can see a lot of other mobile devices as well, so I can see how my website is looking on different devices. So this is just a like a glimpse of the tool, that is browser. And like I just wanted you to know how things work. So in the browser itself you can test all of these things. You can test how it looks on iPad Pro. So in the similar way, if I click on I agree, so I have come to these pages and I can like swipe. So you can see that the swipe is working for computer architecture course, right? So this is how you can test it manually on different mobile phones using the browser itself. And if you see on the right side, coming back to this course, if you see on the right side, we have this HTML document. So this is what like this browser understands. So the language of any browser is DOM. That is nothing but document object model. That is DOM, document object model. So any browser understands a language such as this. So again, this is an HTML language. It starts up with this tag. So you have to learn it. It starts up with this tag. Then we have another tag, HTML, and you can see at the very bottom we have a closing tab for this particular tag. Similarly, for body tag, we have the closing tab, and in between body we have so many things, and these all things are nothing but what you are seeing right in front of you. So all of these tags define what should be there. So the main funda about designing a website is understanding the different components within a website. Say for example, when you say that you have this component, so this is an image selector. If you see out here on browser, this is something which is image selector. So I can just go ahead and click on this image selector, and if I just see, you can see that if I am selecting up this particular component, it is showing me which part of this code contains this component. So you can see that this is the division. So you can see over here the text which is written, which says we welcome you, right? You have this text over here which says we welcome you, and this text is because we have just clicked on this we welcome you text. That's why it like got find it out for us. So in a similar manner, we have different components, like we have this division. So components, you can understand it in a terms of division while like developing of your websites. So as of now, forget about this code. This code is built up on Angular, and that's why it is so much of code. Anyhow, when you are building up things on a shorter file, so a good practice if you want to be a good programming developer, and like there is a good practice, it is always said you should write up short code, and in a file you should always have small code so that like people can read it, reuse it, and there are various other practices. Even the microservices concept work on the same uh, like thought. So in the similar manner, if I just go and see this, click on this, so I get an image. So you see that there is an image tag which says that image should be there. In the similar manner, and like this image is also like bounded inside a division. You can see. So division is something which you can say a component. So the first thing like which you should understand for being a website developer is DOM, that a browser works on DOM, and you get the DOM in this element tab after going to the developer tools. And second thing you should know is this console. So we will talk about this console later, and we will even talk about other tabs later, but as of now for today let us keep our focus on this element tab. So the next part for today is, if you go ahead and see developer tools, which we have already seen. So this is the core engine where you will get all the information what is happening behind the scenes. So what is happening in front is being looked up over here on the left side, right? This website. So now again I am on the website. This, if you see this website on my browser, it has two courses side by side. One is on the left and another is on the right. But if I just go ahead and like say function F12 and get back to my like mobile view, in iPad also you see that it has like something which is like one over here and one over here. But if I go ahead and like click on Samsung or Galaxy, so you see that we have only one course horizontally. So now we do not have two courses horizontally, like all of them are vertical design, and like instead of two courses we have only one course. But if I go to iPad again, so you will be able to see two courses. So how like this code knows that we are working on a screen which is bigger, that is iPad or my desktop, or else if we are working on a screen which is smaller, that is Samsung mobile. So it knows because of like there is something called as mobile responsiveness. So websites are built this way that they should know on which type of screen they are and like how these components should be placed. So these are the components which are like we have this component again. So if you see that these components, that is the like memes, these components are one below each other, but if you see over here that these components are in a horizontal line on a desktop. So the first thing which you should have to keep in mind while developing up your website is like you should be mobile responsive. So coming back to my question again, what does they do? What is HTML, what is CSS, and what is Bootstrap? So if you see up my screen, this is nothing but an HTML script. So HTML is something which defines the content of a website. So this is an HTML page. It starts with an HTML tag. It ends with an HTML tag. If I show you, so this is what is an HTML. So an HTML always starts with the document type. So you will always see a document type in HTML. It starts with HTML and it is saying that the language is English for this website, and it ends with the tag. Inside this tag, we have all of these things. So first we have heading. So heading is something like which we are giving, which is, then we have the title. So if you see over here, if I just go ahead and show you up on my screen over here. So this is nothing but the title. So here we have Tatvam Academy. Like this is something which I was working on few months back. So if I show you up the code again, so it has the title, then it has these two things which are in red. So these are important things. So meta character UFT set is like what kind of character set it is following. Obviously, as a designer or as a beginner, you do not need to worry about this line much. Anyhow, you can keep it the same. Second is you need to keep up the viewport to be this. You have to add this line. So unless and until you will add this line, the browser will not take your code as per the screen size. So when you say that not as per the screen size, it does not mean that these things will not come one below another or they will not be horizontal when we are seeing them on a desktop like this. What it means is, as of now, whenever we are like pulling up this page and like showing it up on the web browser knows this, yes, this is a desktop and viewport is 1, which means that I have to design this as per the desktop. For example, I need my this particular bar. If I just snip it off and when I say that how this coding is done, so when you say that this search website button should be in the middle, it should be 50%, it should have a margin of 50% from the left. The English statement, this is just a plain English statement. I just want you to understand the concepts. So when I say this thing, that this particular thing has a margin of 50% from the left side, it means that the website knows that this device is a mobile device, right? In the similar way, like this 50% is working uh, like the same in other size mobile devices as well. If I go over here and over here, sorry, and if I change it to Pixel 2, it has a different size, but still it is in the middle. Why? Because we have kept up the viewport 1. But if I close this up and see up the search button, now this search button is something which is coming up on left side to this subscribe like channel button. Now it is not coming above it, right? In the previous mobile device it was coming above it. So this is something which is mobile responsive website. So viewport and mobile responsive website, both of them are different things. Now you can see that the search button is above the YouTube subscribe button. It is not on the left side. So I have made the software this way that it knows that it is working on a smaller website and now it has to go above. Now let us see what is HTML, CSS and Bootstrap. So HTML is nothing but it is a language which defines all the elements which will be there. So it has a initial element on very top which is welcome you, then we have a search website element, then we have this subscribe button element, then we have this menu element, and then we have this element, and then we have this image element, then we have these memes element, then we have a course grid element, and this course grid is repeating itself until all the courses are being shown. So I'm just showing you up all the elements. Then we have here from our learners element, then we have connect, and at last we have the footer element. So in the similar way, we have all of these elements, but the good point is both all of these elements are present in both mobile and web. The difference is how they are being placed, what will be the size, and all of these things. So the number of elements will come in HTML, will be defined in HTML, but what will be their color, how will they look, what will be, how where we will keep them, how much left margin should be there, what should be the top margin, what should be the padding, and then we can say whether an element should be above another element or it should be below another element. Like if we see over here that we have an element in between which is just fixed. So if I just scroll down, so here this man, he is fixed. I can move the website, but this element is fixed, and still I can scroll above it because I have marked this element as an impression element, and I have said that please be at the back. This element should only be visible after this element comes, and this should not move. So these are the properties which I have like decided up in a cascading style sheet, which is nothing but CSS. So HTML contains all the elements, and how that element will look, where it will be placed, what color it will be, whether it should be underlined, it should be italics, or what should be its Z index. Z index means like the priority above one another. If one element is above another element, or if we can say that the third element is also over there, so which element will be clicked when someone clicks on these three elements, because they are overlapping each other. So Z index decides that. In the similar way, there are properties such as draggable. So this image is not draggable, that's why I can scroll it up. So if it would have been draggable, I would not have been able to scroll it up. So these all properties are decided in a CSS file. So the next thing is the CSS file is being defined like this is an HTML page, and how we integrate these two things. We just say that we have a CSS file, and this CSS file is this. So you can see that Bootstrap is nothing but a .css file, and it is also a combination of JavaScript language. So Bootstrap is, what is Bootstrap? Bootstrap is an already implementation of few things, few components. For example, if you see up on my screen, this website has these two buttons over here. If I click on this button, it goes right. If I click on this button, it goes left. So this website has these buttons. So this is nothing but a carousel. So I have not coded anything. As a simple layman terms, you can understand if someone clicks on it, a code should work at the background, which should like listen to this click, and it should move this slide one ahead, right? So there should be might be some animation for this cursor, which is making it so smooth, which is making the look so smooth from one element to another element. So there are a lot of things. So all of these things have been pre-coded, and like they have given it a class name. So we will discuss how to use it. I'm just trying to make you understand things as of now. So when you understand things, you are able to use it in a better way, right? So this is nothing but a carousel and a pre-built form of CSS. You can use just the name of the CSS as the class, and like you can keep going with it. So again, we will deep dive into things. Let us keep ourselves uh, up to the mark and clear rather than being confused and going deeper. So this is an HTML language which starts with this, and then we have head, body, header, footer, and so many things. If I move ahead, third stop for designing of the website is like deciding your design. So which I have already discussed with you. So like you are deciding of your design, like how things should look on mobile, how things should look on desktop. You decide the number of elements. You decide how many elements should be there. So after deciding all of these things, you take a screenshot. Like what people do, what generally developers do in the market is like they pick up free designs, and then they show you up 10 of them, you like one of them, they just moderate a little with things inside the code and like give it back to you. This is how things, but this is something which have been like developed entirely by us, and like this is the reason like we are building up this course. After designing up this thing, we will start doing up the practical things now. And like in the practical things, we will be like seeing few things such as division, like, and like we will be designing few of the components and seeing if they're mobile responsive or not. Then in the similar way, we have bootstrap grid, which we will talk about. Then we have bootstrap jumbotron, bootstrap carousel. Then we have font awesome, something very important. Then we have deciding positions, like what at what position the element will be placed. This is very important. In the similar way, we have index, margin, span, and a lot of other things. So we will be discussing many of the things which you might encounter while building up your website. So let's do some practical work now. So to do some practical work, I'm just going on my desktop, right clicking over here, clicking on new and a text file. let me rename it to index.html. So why we are keeping it as index.html? So I have removed .txt and placed .html. And like why we keep up the name as index.html, because this name is worldwide known. Like the first file which the web server will look for will be index.html. You have to learn this. Anyhow, it like does not make any difference if for now I give it some other name. So let me give it some other name and say homepage and hit an enter. So this is a web page which has been created. So if I go ahead and right click over here, say open with and edit with notepad plus plus, this file has nothing. This is just an empty file, not even the HTML tags. If I open it, it will show me nothing on the web browser. So anyhow, let us, like I have already created up this file, let it be over here, and let me create another file and name it as style.css. So you can see over here that I am removing of this .txt. So and it gives me an warning saying that you're changing up the file extension. I am saying yes because I want to create a CSS file, and this file looks something like this. So I have created two files. One is .html file and another is .css file. So you can code your website either in Notepad++ or just any text editor, or the best choice as of me is Studio Code. So this is something which has been given by Microsoft, which is Visual Studio Code. Here you can just download it, and like you will get an exe file. Just double click next, and Visual Studio Code would be installed on your system. After installing it, you can just go to Visual Studio Code, hit an enter, open it, and after opening it, you can go to files and say open folder. Go to open folder, go to desktop, and place both of your files over here inside a folder. Say website, my website. So just put both of them inside this folder for easy configuration and easy management rather. I will go over here, desktop, website, and select folder. So as I do this thing, it gives me these two files you can see over here. This is the default file. Over here on the left side, you see that we have two files. One is .html and second is .css. So if I go ahead, I do not have anything in .html file. In the similar way, I do not have anything on style file. So let me build up something, and like I will start up with document tag. So rather than typing it myself, I will just copy paste the format using which I will be like teaching you people. So this is the format which we discussed. I will just copy up this page from here and close this, go back to my Visual Studio and home.html and paste it. So if you now see up the code, in the code we have HTML tag opening in line 2 and closing in line 20, and this tag do not have any body. In body it has header which is empty, it has footer which is empty, and it just has a paragraph which says I am the first HTML page. P is for paragraph. So again, reiterating myself, HTML is a language which works on tags. It has a opening tag, it has a closing tag. Here in this editor you can find a way to just shrink it. On this side you will find an array, you can shrink it. So this tells what this tags contains. This tags contain all of these lines. So anyhow, these spacings are not checked, although they are very important, because if someone else is reading up your code, it is important for you to make sure that they understand the like indentation and documentation. So here we have the HTML tag, we have header. In header we have these two meta tags which we have already discussed about. Then we have a title which says ABCD, and here we have few link statements. So we will talk about link statements in some while. Let me save it. Let me save empty style.css. Let me zoom back and let me go to this particular page which is on my desktop and open it now. So if I open it now, so you will be able to find that on this page you have two things which you can see and which you have written out. So one is ABCD, which is the title, which I even showed you at Tatvam Academy. And second is just a paragraph which is saying I am the first HTML page. Right. So our agenda is to prepare up a website which will look something like this. So we will prepare a website which will look something like this. So the first part is building up this bar. So we will be building up the "We welcome you" bar. So now we have to build something like this in our HTML page. So as of now, I want you to look it into a way how actually you say it. So what do I mean by it? In this particular component, you see few things. One is the text. So you see a text which is "We welcome you." What is the second thing? Second thing you see is the black background. So you have a black background which you need to make. So I'm just saying black background, which is denoted by capital B and a capital B. Then you see that this "welcome you" has a reflection at the back. So we have a reflection out here, right, of this "welcome you." So we have a reflection at the back. And the last thing we see is that we have a color which is something like, which is like glowing. You can say a glowing color. So these all are the properties of the element. And what is the element? Element is the text which is "We welcome you" and a division which has the background black. So the HTML code will have an division, and inside that division there will be an element for text, and after that all of these properties like the background is black, there should be a reflection, the glowing color, and the any other effect like maybe the blue color which is coming outside "We welcome you." These all effects and properties will be decided in the CSS file. So if I come back to Visual Studio Code and if we see again the HTML code, so let us see again the elements, which is the HTML element, which is on the very top. We have one HTML element in every document, in every page, right? And every element, HTML element, has only one heading section, which is this, one header, which is inside the body, one footer, which is inside the body, and then the HTML goes in. Anything which your website shows you up comes inside body. After header we will create up something and say like we will create up something and like pass it on the text which is "We welcome you." So this will be the place where we will mark up the text. So one thing which I want to tell you and learn over here right now is how we put up comments in HTML. In HTML we put up comments by saying this. So we need a exclamation and two dashes to close it, not an exclamation. Between it anything written will be a comment. So I will say that I will put up the HTML code for "We welcome you" below it. So if our document becomes large because of these comments, you will come to know where our code is. So I have just copied up the code and we are marking up the code like this. So how exactly is the code written in HTML? We have tags and these tags have itself some properties. So we want a linkage between these elements and the properties defined in CSS, right? So these classes are something like which groups them. So what we are saying over here, we are saying that we have a division and this division does not have any class. This is just a division. So division is like I am blocking out a space on the web page. Then I'm saying that this division, inside this division, anything inside this division can take the space which can be taken by the outer division. And what space can the outer division take? We will talk about it. Let us concentrate on the inner division first. So we have an inner division and the class of the division is welcome. We are saying that this belongs to a group welcome, and whatever the cascading style properties are applied to the group welcome, please apply to this element. In the similar way, if we say welcome and adjust margins, say, so this is nothing which I have borrowed up from anywhere. This is something which I have written from my thought. I thought to write word which is adjust margin, and I have written it. So now this division has become part of two groups. So it is not part of a single group which is welcome adjust margins. No, it is part of now two groups. One is welcome and second is adjust margins. So this space is to tell HTML that we have two groups now. So this was the reason I just wanted to write it over here. In the similar way, like class, we have something called as ID. So I can just go ahead and say that the ID of this division, we say we welcome you outer div. So we welcome you outer div. So this is the outer div for welcome, and from here using this ID also we can map the CSS. So CSS can be mapped to an element using the class or using ID, or there are various other properties of a HTML tag. So this is HTML tag. HTML tag has various properties such as ID, such as class, and using these properties you can link it with the CSS file. So we will talk about it, how we'll link it with the CSS file. As of now, just see the code. So this is the code where we have two divisions, one inside another division, and a h2 tag. So h2 is the heading. In HTML we have h1 tag, we have h2 tag, we have h3 tag, 4, 5 and 6, I guess. 7 is not there. So these are different heading tags. So h1 is the most, like, size wise, font size wise, the biggest tag, then h2, then h3, then h4, then h5, then h6. So h1 is the biggest and h6 is the smallest. So I'm just giving you a brief while creating up this website. So we have added up this text and I have saved it up. So let me go ahead and check our website. So for checking our website, I just need to click and enter, and here you see two things now. What are the two things? One is the ABCD title and the second is these text. So we have mentioned we welcome you heading tag, that was h2, and then a plain text paragraph. So let me go back over here and remove this paragraph because we do not want this paragraph, and let me show you the h6 heading tag. So the size should get smaller. Let me save it. I have saved it, and let me just hit and enter to refresh it. So you see that the size of we welcome you have gone small, and like we see everything over here. But you see that welcome you is so rough over here, and here it is so awesome. So all of these things are done using CSS. So HTML just contains the content and how that content should be looked and what all things should be applied on the content is done by CSS or Bootstrap, and how to control the content is done via JavaScript. When someone clicks on some content, what will happen? Or when you swipe, what will happen? The controlling part is done by JavaScript. So let us now start implementing the CSS part. So for the CSS part, the first thing which I want people to see is this link statement. So I just said that we will look towards them later. Let's see one of the link statement. So there are a lot of link statement, and what exactly is a link statement? Link statement is something like which is linking a file with this file. We have an index.html or home.html file over here as of now, and we want to link a CSS file with this HTML file. So this is why the link statement is there, and we have a rel tag which tells like what kind of link it is. So we are saying that this is a style sheet. So similarly here you can see rel has a short icon which says that this is nothing but a favicon. What is favicon? Favicon is a word which you will have to remember, and you can see it at the very top. We have a bulb. with upskill yourself, we have this bulb, and this bulb is nothing but the favicon. So this is the icon which is coming because of this statement. So we cannot see it as of now in my website which we are creating here, because we do not have this file at this place. So we have our content of website on our desktop over here, and we do not have any image out here. So we do not have any image which is there in some folder like this. That's why we are not able to see. Anyhow, coming back to this link statement, we have this link statement. It says that there is a link statement and it is attached to style.css, and as it is in the same folder, so style.css is in the same folder as we have home.html. That's why like we do not require anything before it, or else you would have required an like absolute path rather than a relative path. This is a relative path, which means that the file is present in the same folder in which this particular file is. So in which the home.html is, this style.css is also in the same folder. That's why like we are just giving the name and not the full path. Now what will be the next thing which we will do is like we will write up the cascading style sheet. So I've already told you that we take the control of HTML and CSS using the classes or the IDs. So we will take the class welcome. Let me just copy it and go back to my CSS. So this is my style.css. How will I like represent this particular division into this CSS? I just need to write a dot and the class name and two braces. And inside this braces, it does not allow us like keeping it empty. I will just say background color is equal to black. So I have given the background color black for welcome. Welcome dot is for class. If this would have been ID rather than class, I would have marked it as this. This is for ID. Dot is for class, right? So these are known as CSS selectors. So we have a list of CSS selectors. So I can just show you up on W3 schools. So you have a list of selectors in which you say dot class. Dot class 2, it means that this particular braces, anything within the braces between like this dot class 1 and dot class 2 will be applied for both the classes, or to the element which has like all the elements with name which are the part of both the groups. It will apply only to elements which are the part of both the groups. In the similar way, we have few other selectors. So these are nothing but selectors. So you have the selector for hovering. So you can see that you can see before and after hover. So you will find something for hover. Let me check it. So this is the selector for hover. You see, whenever you hover, what is hovering? Hovering is something like this. This is hovering. When I am moving from one like CSS reference or to CSS web shape font, the gray color comes over them. So it is hover. I am not clicking over them, but as soon as I am hovering over it, the color is getting changed. This is getting changed because someone has like marked up in the CSS file that whenever you hover it, please change the color of this particular element. So this was the initials, and like I have marked it as welcome ID and I have given the background color as black. Let us go ahead and check it. So you can see that the background color has become black, which is somewhere closer to this. So background color is black, but we do not have the text as of now. We cannot see the text now. So I need to see the text, and it was of white glowing color. Let us just keep it white as of now. So I will give a dot over here and say tube light, and let me say font color. So we have a list of all the available font properties. Similarly, if I say align, I see the list of all the alignment properties. So this is the benefit of using Visual Studio Code rather than using normal Notepad++ or Simple Text Pad, because it gives you all the fields which can be altered. So I will just say font color and font dash color. So I'm not getting it, so just say color. So I have something called as color and say white. I'm saving it and going back to Google Chrome. Let me hit an enter, and here it is. So we welcome you has come white. So our next target will be to place the items correctly. So what do I mean by that? I have the black strip, I have this white item, it is still not growing, that is okay. It does not have a reflection, that is also okay. The next part which I'm taking up is like I want this we welcome you to come at the very center over here, and it should be center from the top, center from the above. So how exactly we can do it? So in CSS, every element needs two properties, and those are very much important. What are those properties? One is the display property. So here I will say display flex, and another is the position property. So let me say it as relative. And over here, let me say that justify content center and align item center. So as I say this and move back and hit an enter, so we see that this particular we welcome you is coming in the center. So anyhow, the important part is like we have made the display flex the position of the tube light relative, and we have added these two particular justifying content. So what happens if I make this display from flex to block? So what is flex? What is block? We will talk about it. Let's see what happens if we change this to block. So it has like gone again to the very left side, and it is not respecting the position which is relative now. So before we understand these two terms, which is display and position and the link between them, let us first understand one of them, that is display. So display can be majorly of four types. So if I just go ahead over here and press column over here, you can see all the display types. So it is more than four. You have block display, you have content display, you have flex display, you have grid, you have inline, inline block, inline flex blocks, inline table, list item, and similarly a lot of them. But in major way, like for to start up, these are the four display items which are very necessary for you to understand. Let us start with block item. What is a block item? Say we have a website over here and we decide a division with block item. So the block item will take the entire width. So this is the width, right? So it will take the entire width, but it will not take the height, entire height. It will take the height as much as the content it has. But the width will be taken entirely. In a similar way, if we define another block uh, division below this division, so this block division will also take the entire line. So even if the text starts from here and like say we write something and it finishes here, it does not take the complete till the end. So then also if we will like add another division with a block element, it will take another line. So a block element always begins with a new line and it like takes the entire width of your system. Inline only takes that much space which is required by the text. So if say for example, if we have the build and we define a division over here inline which has a very little text, say I am in, so it will take only this much space. Then if we say another division which is inline, it will come over here and say it has something called as just one word, one letter, say H. Now if we take another division which is inline, it will come over here if it is capable of adjusting this size. But if we take another division which is block, display block, it will begin from the next line, it will not begin from here. So this was majorly like the inline and block display types. What is flex? So flex is something which can be of type block or it can be of type inline. So it can be of type block and it can be of type inline, right? So that's why when we see over here display, we see we have inline flex. You see something like inline flex. What exactly is flex? So if flex is of type block, which is by default, so that's why block flex was not there. By default, if you select flex, it will be block flex. So let us talk about the flex display type. I would surely recommend you visiting up this website, which is w3.org tr css flexbox. You can just take a screenshot and type it on your web browser. This is a wonderful place and it contains like almost every information you can fetch of flex. So what exactly is flex? Flex is something like which, if the outer container is a flex container, it defines like an access, and the inner elements, that means the child elements which we will be putting up inside the division of a flex, will be placed as per this access. So this is the main access. The first element will be put up over here, second element will be put up over here, and the cross axis is always perpendicular to it. It means like if we add another third element over here, it will come down, right? So now we will say that what is the difference between like using up a flex blocks and like what is something like which we can't do using display or inline. Obviously you can do everything with display and inline which you can do with flex, but there are things which become easier with flex which are difficult to code with inline and block. Say for example, in our case we are using a flex for justifying our like the welcome content in middle, vertically and horizontally both. Second thing is that like this flex property gives you a lot of other property. For example, it has a property which tells you the direction of this main axis, so you can select the direction of your items within this layout either horizontally or vertically. So you can see that there is something called as flex direction. And like the major use of flex is with like the smaller elements of your web component, such as the navigation bar and like the components which might become difficult while like building up a mobile responsive website, because flex gives its own options, right? So you can align things very easily, you can clear things, you can make other things also work. So for example, can see up this picture as well. So here you can see that with flex it became so easy for you to make sure that the elements are aligned this way. You can see that the outer element has inner four elements, one, two, three, four, and the fourth element has itself has three other items. But all of these items are not affecting the first three items, and like this is something which is like easily achievable in flex, and like this is how it is being used. And the last but not the least, the display type is none. This display type means that please do not show this division. So if I just go ahead and over here, I just say none. So nothing will be visible on my screen because tube light is also inside this division. If this division is not visible, anything will not be visible. So for now, let me go ahead and change the display back to block. And now let us see again. Okay, we welcome you is displayed, but it is still on the left side. We want to make it in the center. So these two statements are not working with display block because the position over here is relative. And these two work majorly with flex. And like how I am going to do it with block is will be something like this. I will just say text align. There is one more property which works with block, text align, which is center. If I save it, if I go ahead over here and hit an enter, it's you see that it has come up to the center. We welcome you is on the very center. So text align works with block and those two are working with flex. So as of now for our tutorial, let us keep it with flex. I just wanted you to understand like there will be things which might not work in your case while you start designing your things. The best part towards development is you can always hit and try. So you can try different items, and like working with something like Visual Studio Code always gives you a shorthand on the properties used, because you just need to type the property and a colon and you see all the values, right? So as of now, let us keep it this way, and let me see it again. So my items are on the center and everything looks good. Now what I need is I need a lightning effect, and a little below you can see that I need a reflection. Okay, so to mark up reflection, there is a property which is defined by this. So you can see up the code over here, which is from line number 12 till 18. So I will just remove this text shadow as of now. So the only thing which I have added is line number 12. So this is the property of WebKit. What is, like, you can see that this is a non-standard property which I am using. So this is a third party CSS property. So obviously you can use these properties, or you can create something of your own. You can think out how CSS works. You can go ahead and read more about CSS, but these properties are widely used in the industry, and you can also go ahead and use them. So there is a property called as WebKit box reflect. In this, like, you give up what kind of reflection you want and what color reflection it will be, and the size of the reflection, which will be 0.4, and it should be below the like the text. So this is what we are using over here. If I go ahead over here and just hit an enter, okay, so it might not be visible because of this welcome height. Let me change the height to 100 px so that the shadow is visible. And after making the height, you can see out here that the shadow is visible below this, right? You can see up this shadow, and this shadow is coming because of this tag. Now we want a glowing effect, and how can we achieve the glowing effect? We can achieve the glowing effect with the text shadow property. So there is a property which is text shadow, which looks something like this, and this should be applied to tube light. Why? Because tube light is the words, and we want to apply it only to the words. Let me save it and let me hit an enter, and here you go. We can see the same. We welcome you with the glowing effect, with the reflection, with the black background, and everything using HTML and CSS. So there is still some time, like, where like we will go ahead and talk about the position property of CSS file. Let us first look at the mobile responsiveness of this website. So I have this website on my desktop. I have this page home.html. Let me go ahead and open it with Chrome. So I have this website, and how should I check up the mobile responsiveness of this website? I just need to press either the F12 function key and F12 button on your keyboard, or the better part is you can click on these three buttons and more tools, and again developing tools. So here you can click on this icon, which will like bring it up into a mobile form. So this is the icon, and like after like converting it into a mobile phone, like you can change it to various sizes from here, right? So as we can see that this particular website is looking fine on almost all the mobile phones except this one. If you see that in this, like below 280, it says that, like, you can see that the height, like the font size is so big. So the correct word is font size. You need to learn this word. If you're talking about the text font size, so we will treat it as font size. So now what our challenge is, to make sure that this text becomes smaller when this rate goes to this pixel, 280 pixel. So for Galaxy Fold Mobile, we do not want this much big text. So how we can do it? So I will go back to my Visual Studio style.css. So to do it, first thing which you need to understand is the flow of execution of this file, that is .css file. So this .css file is executed from the very first line and it keeps on executing till the end. So you will say it is but so obvious. Why you are telling me this? Why I am telling you this is like because I will just copy this and paste it over here and say now the display is log. So I have two welcome statements with the same name. To which one to pick? So it will start like executing it from the top, and at the end, like till the end, it will execute it, and the latest one, it will pick the latest one and make the changes. So if I save it and like if I go back to my website and click it, you can see that it has come up to the top. It has come up to the top. Not it is not in the center because now we are using block with justify content and align content. So I will just go ahead and delete this for now and save it, and let us see our website again. So it has come to the center. Now the next thing I want to discuss is mobile responsiveness. So we need to make sure that the text becomes smaller, right, when the size goes less than 280. So how we will do it using media queries. There is something called as media queries in HTML CSS the web designing, and we will do it using that. So what are media queries? If I quickly go to this sheet and copy up this thing, this is a media query. So what exactly this means? Let me also copy up the comment which always keeps things in line. So these are the media queries, and above we have the CSS. So I can just say over here CSS, and let me close this up, and here we have this media query. Let me delete this media query. So now let us understand this media query, what this media query says. So this media query says that if you can like understand this media query as an if statement. In this case, anyhow, like it does not matter, it is pure English, and my like way of teaching is like to make sure that you understand the thoughts. So this media query can be treated as an if statement, and you can say that if the maximum width of this screen is this, then please apply these CSS elements. So here what you will write in this place is you will write up CSS code within this. So you will say that if the maximum width of the screen is less than 281, then you can write the CSS code into it. In the similar manner, you can write something like this saying that @media min width. So you can say that if the minimum width is 281. So what is the difference between max width and min width? It makes the difference when you have multiple media queries. Say for example, if you have two media queries out here, and which is for max, and like you are having the smaller size above and the larger size below, say 500. So you want some property of CSS to change with with 500 pixel, and you want some CSS property to change with 281 pixels. So for in our example, we are talking about the text. So this particular text, we welcome you text, is a text which we want to change only at 280. But there are instances when you need to change the size of text at like all the levels. Say when you are on a mobile, you want the text size to be say 40 pixel. So pixel is the unit of text size, and there are various other unit. Let us talk only on pixels as of now. Now when we like say that we have we have multiple like sizes of text for different sizes of screen. So there we have to maintain a ladder, right? And like this ladder is the same where we say that if the maximum width is this much, please execute this CSS code. If the maximum width is this much, please execute this CSS code. But how to place them? Should the lower one be above the greater one, or the greater one should be above the lower one? This is decided using this max or min. So when I say that if the max width, so the maximum width is 281. So it means that this CSS code should be applied to all the screen size whose width is less than this value, because this is the maximum width. So for any screen size whose width is less than this value, please apply this CSS code. So for all the screens with less than this value, this CSS code will be applied. Say we have applied. And then it comes to the next query and it says that please apply this CSS code with maximum width of 500. So obviously this value is smaller than this value, and hence this code will also be applied to a screen of size this. So a screen of size this will also fall under this category, right? So this is what like means, like we need to make sure that the position of this query is fine. So I will just cut it and like paste it above it. Now what will happen, like even if this code is applied first for 281 pixel screen, it will override it. The code over here will override it. And like this is how like the CSS coding is done for different mobile sizes. So you have these media queries, and like this is the mostly used things. You can go ahead and like read about it yourself. I always encourage people for reading themselves, because unless and until you start reading yourself a lot of articles, because what I do is I read a lot of articles, a lot of articles, and like make crisp of all of these things, and like then try to present them in front of you. So here in this case, I will be just using up this one media query as an example. So I will just say that the font size of what. So let me just minimize my screen, and I will say that the font size of the text I want it for the tube light, right? I will just say dot tube light and a braces. So we have written our CSS over here, and we just say the font size because I just want to reduce the font size, and I will say it as 10 px. Let us see what size it is. So I have saved it. I will go back. We are already on Galaxy Fold. Let me hit it. So it has become so small. If I go ahead and like go back from Galaxy Fold to Surface Duo, it is now the width is now 540, and hence the like the text size has also increased. If I go ahead and see something else, the text size remains same, but it is only small for Galaxy Fold. So the next thing which I want to talk about today is like CSS positions element, and then we will even talk about the relationship between display and position. So CSS position element like basically comes under these types. Obviously, like we will see all the types as a hint from the Visual Studio Code, but like we will be studying these types here, which will be fixed, sticky, absolute, relative, and initial. If you understand the concept of these CSS types, like you will be doing a lot. You can do a lot of things by yourself. So this is my website code, and this is my website. So for example, to understand this, let us take this way. Like I need a chat icon over here on my website, and like this chat icon, you usually like see a website in front of you. We always see a chat icon at the very bottom on the right side, where if we press our finger on my mobile, a chat window opens up and like people start chatting up. So how will you just place up that icon over there? So clicking it, opening up of that window, that is a different aspect and like a different scene. We are just talking about creating up the UI, the web pages, the static web pages as of now. So I just want to like have this particular image over here, how will I do it? So in simple terms, like this is something which is done using position element. And what is position element? We will take up the fixed position element. So what is fixed position element? It means that it says that I want to fix a image over here. How will you define over here? It will be something this much percentage above the bottom. It is something this much percentage like left side, right side, right? And at first this image should fall at this bottom, or else what you can do is, like by default what happens, any element which you place will come up at this very top. Now if you place some element, because we already have a div, if you place some element, so it will come up over here. This is the default page. If we want something over here, so we need to tell that please float, the css element type is float. You say that please float it down, right, or float it right. Then in the similar way, like as of now we need to make it fixed, so we need a icon. So from where we will be getting up the icons, so I will just go to Google and I will say something called as font awesome, and let me just say our most lovable word which is free. So I will go to font awesome, and here you can like just select this free option, so you will only see the free icons. So I will just say chat, and here we have a lot of icons. So let me select one of the icon, say this icon. So these icons are like majorly like represented up by a tag called as I. So if you see this, that we have a tag called as I will just copy it, and let me go back over here and let me say. So one thing I want you to say is like I cannot use it straightforward. You have to see this link statement. In my HTML, I am using of this link statement, and this link statement is a style sheet. It says, and it is nothing but a font or some link statement. So I am using version 4.7.0. So I have picked, maybe I have picked up an icon, but if it will not be in this version, it will not be shown up. So to like place it, let me create a division. Division, as discussed, is nothing but a container, and let me paste it inside this division, this icon, and let me say this division class to be say chat box, and let me copy this chat box, go to style.css and over here dot chat box, and let me say display to be inline, because we do not want to block the entire space, right? We just want to like the space which is required by the icon size. So we will just say display inline, and we will say that this division, so this chat box is nothing but this division, and this container contains this I element. So why I am using container for division is like division you can treat it as a container, it contains elements. Anyhow, it is not necessary that you bound it with divisions, but it is always a good practice to make sure that your positions and displays element are basically done on divisions rather than on the elements. So we are saying that the display is inline, then we will say that float, please float to the right, maybe, and then we will say that please position it. I want to position it. You can see that there are so many positions which are coming out, but like the major ones are absolute, fixed, relative, static, sticky, and initial. Anyhow, WebKit sticky, it is something for, I think, for iOS. So you can use this, and this is for MS page. MS relates for Microsoft. In terms of CSS, MS relate for Microsoft. So here I will just set the position to be fixed, and its position should be fixed, and I will next go and say that please float it right. So we have already floated it right. Let me just save it and let us see what results we have, and then we will start working ahead. So I will just press an enter, and here you see something. There is no icon. Why there is no icon? Because the version which we are using might not be the latest one. So let me just copy this version, and go to my HTML page, and let me just first paste it over here so that I can see it. So it is 5.10.1. Let me check if this works. Let me save it, and let me just go back over here and refresh the screen. So if you see over here, now we do not see a square, rather we do not see anything, because the point is, like we have said, that it is fixed, and it is fixed means that it will start up from the very top, not from here. So fixed is something like which takes up this entire screen, and in fixed means that you're fixing up the position of the element with respect to this entire screen. You might scroll down, you might scroll right, you might scroll diagonally, you might scroll any way you want, you might use carousel. The website will can go anything, can anywhere, but the fixed element will remain there itself. So whenever you go to a website, the chat icon always remains over here. Maybe you scroll down, you do not scroll down. So as of now, it is over here. So how we will make it go down, like I can just say over here, rather than like now, that the top, from top please mark up a gap of 80%, and from right please mark up a gap of 10%, and I can just save it. And if I go back over here and hit an enter, we do not see anything. Okay, so what we can do next is we can like judge what exactly is happening and why nothing is coming. So like there can be a problem with my internet connection, but obviously I am connected to a good internet and I know that I do not have an internet problem. But just to specify you, this is something which is coming from the internet, right? So there is some problem, and that's why we are not seeing it over here. So I can go to the network tab in my console over here. I can go to the network tab, and in the network tab I am seeing something like this. So it is coming out from the internet. The next thing you should know, I will just like want you to start up with this thing, which is HTTP. What is HTTP? HTTP is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. What is protocol? Protocol is an English word which means set of rules. So obviously, like server is also nothing but like a same machine, like we have it over here. It has its own CPU, its own memory. So I can just say task manager. A server is nothing but a machine like this, which has its own CPU, its own memory, its own hard disk, its Ethernet, its Wi-Fi. It is connected to an internet. It is very similar like this. So how it is different from a client machine? A server is a machine which runs a software on it, which is capable of receiving in request, and these requests are heard by HTTP protocol. And like that's why whenever we say that HTTP something like this, so it means that a request is going to this computer. This is nothing but a computer system is going to this computer, and this will talk to this computer using this protocol. Protocol means just a set of rules. So we define a set of rules, like how a request should be sent from the client and how it should be received to the server. So this is how like this particular HTTP client server architecture works. I am coming back to my website. If we come back over here to this website, to here, so we see over here that we have a status of 404. What is 404? 404 is a authentication error. It says it is not authentic. So that there might be a scenario that this is not free, so I might have chosen up the wrong one. But like we can obviously verify things from here. All the status code which start with 2 are positive, which start with 4 are authentication, which start with 5 are the server error. When you are designing up the front end, as of now in this tutorial we are designing up the front end, that is the client, that is the application for the browser, which will be visible on the browser. So if you get a 500 error, you can straight away go to the web developer, like on .NET or whatever the backend developer is, Node.js developer, whatever the developer is. You can go ahead and like tell him, like please take it. I like there is some 500 error and I am not getting up the data. So anyhow, we will talk about it maybe in the advanced courses. For this course, let us keep simple and like try to understand the UI design for website. So now I already have one version which is working for me. I will just directly go back to that. So it is in version 5.0.8. Let me just copy it and uh, let me paste it over here. And let me go back over here. Let me rather copy all of these things of my head and change them over here. So this is what like all I am using up for my website, like which is host-tune-form.org. And here you can see that we are like using up a font awesome, which is this. And I will just go ahead and let me pick up the connect option, which is this. Let me just copy it and paste it. So this is nothing but a WhatsApp square button. Let me save it. Let me go over here and hit an enter. Okay. So we have changed a lot of things. That might be the case, like our welcome view is not coming good, but here you can see that we have got an icon over here and its size is very small. Now we are rather like talking about this icon, and I see it to be very small. So what I can do is I can just increase the size and say dash 5x. So this is how like the font awesome fa is font awesome class. The dash 5x is the size. I just save it. I will go back out here on my website, which is here, and I'll just hit an enter. So I see this screen coming big. So now let us try and like place it somewhere down and see like why it is coming at the top and like not at the bottom. And I will just also correct up this particular upper, like we welcome you. Okay, so I am back after making a few changes myself. So like what exactly I did, like I already told you like bootstrap. We have not discussed about it. We have not like taken up the tutorial on it, but yes, I've already told you like the bootstrap also has a JS. So this is something which was missing up over here. Then this is like the style.css which has been repeated. It is not required. The second thing like which was missing was this strict script statement. That's why like the things were not coming and like the 404 error was coming up. So we need a script statement, and as we are using a font awesome, so it has a JavaScript also associated with it. So this is being also used with like this CDN. Both of them are required, and like it is very well mentioned about even the latest version. This tutorial is meant to make sure that you know how things are used. You can just go to the like font awesome website. On the very first page, like how to install it, you will find like what script latest version is going on and like what all things, what link you should include in your head section. So you can just go ahead and like directly copy paste it. As of now I have this. So we have this website, and like this icon is coming at the very top. I need it on the bottom end, and like if I see that this does not make any sense, let me remove it. Now I have display inline and position fixed. So how I can see like where is my chat box division and where is the element. So what I will do is just to see it, I will just say the background color of this particular division be blue. So if I just mark it blue, so here on this website, if I go back and see, so I have this symbolization that the background blue is the division, and this division contains an element which is this, and because it is inline, this has come up this way. So let's see what happens if I just copy paste it 3 times. So because it is inline and as it is fixed, we only see a single because it is fixed. So all are one above another. How can I see them separately? I can see them separately if I go over here, and rather than saying fixed, if I say in position to be initial or inherit. So now the position is not fixed and it will not fix itself up, and you can see that we have 3, and because it was in line, so that's why it is like going up to the next screen. So let me go back and remove all these extra ones, and here in CSS let me say it fixed, and after saying it fixed I will say that one thing you should notice is like even it is fixed, it is not starting up from the very top, because like we already have a division, and after this division this HTML is coming. So the fixed size of screen will be now this, it will work with this size. So if I say from top 50%, 30%, it should work from there. So I will just say from top let it be 70%, and from left side it should be say 80%. Let's see what happens. Let me save it, come back, hit and enter. So we have this icon over here which has gone a little bit more lefter, and it needs to go down more. So I've decreased left and increased down. So now I should make it a little more down. So let me treat it as 90%. We will make it up above. I knew it. So I will just mark it as 85% and hit an enter. Let me go back and say F12, that is function F12, F12. Okay, so now it is coming good. Let us see it on other mobiles. So little difference here, also little difference. We wanted a little ahead. So let me keep it up as 90 itself and hit an enter again on this mobile. It has gone down. So I want is 85 and we wanted this to be 80, which is the left symbol. So this has gone a little more. So let me say 75. So obviously like you have this kind of things which you have to do it in CSS. You need to hit and try and see where it moves. So this is the perfect place as per this screen. Now it is not coming good in this screen. In this screen it should be more this side. So this means that this left should be greater than, like it should be something great, like saying that it should be 90. So how you can manage this? You can manage this with minimum width query. So for minimum, if you apply minimum, so that will be for applied to all the width which will be above it. So this will be the minimum value. For example, here we have taken up the maximum value, but there you will take up the minimum value. So we have already covered this maximum and like these media queries in this tutorial itself. So for now we are concentrating on this screen size, which is 360. And let me go ahead to my tag and let me copy up this and let me paste this below it multiple times. Let me save this. Let us refresh it. So we have got it multiple times. Let me paste it multiple times more and let me save it. We have got it multiple times and we have even got the bar. So you can see that we can scroll, but the icon below remains at its place. It does not scroll. It has the fixed length. So we can see it in any case, in any mobile. If I even go to Galaxy Fold, it will be like on the bottom, right? You can see this shadow out here. We have this shadow of this particular image over here. This is our symbol, the icon, fabulous icon. So we will talk about the next item, which is sticky in positions. So I will just go over here and like I have deleted all the other we welcome you part, and like we have come back to our original website as of now. So to understand sticky, what I will do is I will just copy up this content over here and let me paste it below it, and let me give it an ID. Say I will say sticky division. and let it not, it just have a text which says, let me delete all of this. So text, I can wrap text in span. So span is nothing but, like, by default a division is of type block, and span like is of type inline. You can say something like this, like span does not extend itself to the entire division like width. So you can take up span over here, and inside span I will take a paragraph. So for p tag, why it is pa, I will just take the p tag, and inside p I will say I am a sticky division. So I will just write up this and let me save it. After this, like, I will just copy it and paste it again, and here we will create a division with an id, say just background color, and let me delete this span, and let me just copy it and save it. So here now we are working with the id, so we will mark up it with this sign, right? And after this sign I need to put up the id name. So I want this id to have a background color of, say, I will recommend this color. And then after taking the color, let me take the height to be 20 pixel, and then I will come back over here and I will just copy up this id. This is the sticky id. We do not want this division. I'm just deleting up this division. The outer division is creating nuisance for me. So I will just take up this division over here, and let me save it. I will go back here and I will create another id css line, and I will say the position. So the display will be blocked. I want it to be blocked. I want the entire space. Then I will say the position to be sticky. Sticky. Until when it should be sticky? It should be sticky till top is equal to 0. So these two you can combine with each other. They are the parameters which define each other. This is how CSS works. When you define a position as sticky, you need to define where it should stick. It will stick when top is will be equal to 0. And what do we mean by this? We will just understand it. Let me save it, and let me just put up this background color above it. I will tell you why I am putting it above it two times, and then let me just put it below many times. Let me save it. Let me go over here and let me hit an enter. So we have like completed up this all divisions till here. It means that it is not going down and not scrolling up. So I want a scrollable. So what I will do is, rather than copy pasting it more over there, I will just increase the height of these divisions multiple times. And as you see that this division is like, now this scroll is working, right? But as I work on this scroll, you will see that I am a sticky division sticks on the very top, even if I scroll it down. So what we said, like, it should stick to the top when top equal to 0. So if I go ahead and change it something like this, saying it should stick to top when top is equal to 10 px. So if I hit an enter over here, so it has gone down. So it will stick 10 px above it. So now we have a gap. You can see there is a gap above this text which was not there before. So I will just go back and say 0 and hit an and save it and come back over here, and like it is over here. So this is how like the sticky elements work, and like this is what we have it on our website. If I go ahead over here and like come back to the mobile view, which will be like something like this. So I have made up this particular division as sticky. It will stick on the top. You can see that this sticks on the top. This sticks on the top. So this is what like this sticky is like, and this is how like this particular thing is being used. So guys, let us now talk about these two positions which are absolute and relative. So as of now, like, I deleted up all the background below, and like we just have these three or like 4 things out here. So let me also delete up this background. So we will have one component of each. Let me save it and let me do it something like this. Okay, now so for this, what I will do is I will just copy paste this chat box again, and I will paste it over here. And rather than chat box, I will say chat box for test, chat box test. Let me save it like this. And here, let me copy of this chat box and paste it and say chat box for test. And let me just delete these 2 lines. So why I am doing this, you will get in like few minutes. If I come over here and hit an enter, so you see over here that uh, we have this button over here and it is fixed, but it is coming below this division, but it is on the same division which has the background color as cream. So why it is not coming below, like here, why it is coming here, not it is not coming on the very top, it is not coming on the very bottom, it is coming on the second division, not on the first division. Why it is so? So it is happening because like in our HTML we have this on the second place. If I go ahead and cut it and put it on the very top and save it, let's go back over here and rerun it. So you can see that we have it at the very top now. So whenever you define a fixed elements, it does not block the space. You can understand this way. Whenever you define a fix, it does not block the space in your like on your screen. But here now, if I move it to the second element, for the second element, first space is already blocked. So it is, even if it is fixed, it will start up from the second element. But for the third element, the starting point is again the same, and that's why like this particular thing is coming over here, and like this is not going down. Now we want to discuss about relative and like absolute thing. So I have this chat box with me, and if I change this chat box type to relative, let me just change it to relative, and let me mark a border on this division, and let me change the display to be block, and let us mark a border, and the border color should be say red, and the border style, so I need a border style, so let it be double lines or maybe dotted lines will work. So let us go ahead and see it. So we have this like blocked element now, because this we have changed it to blocked rather than fixed, and it has a dotted line, you can see. So I am back to my Visual Studio, and here I will be creating another chat box test. So this is my HTML code. So I will just copy this code and paste it again over here, and let me give it the name chatbox test 1. In the similar way, I will copy up this particular thing and paste it over here, and I will give it the color of blue, right? So I have now 2 boxes, 2 dotted divisions, and inside these divisions like we have this font awesome icon. So let me save it up and let me go back over here and refresh it. So we see over here that now we have these 2 blocks, but one is blue, another is not blue. Let me check this up. So we have the chat box test above and chat box test 1 below. So let me give it the name to 1, because both of them were like taking overriding each other. So the name was not correct. Here I have just changed the name to chatbox test 1. Let me go back, and here we see 2 boxes now. One with red and second with blue. Now let us understand what is absolute and what is relative. First, let us see what is relative. So as of now, our positions is initial. Let me add another CSS property which is top, and let me give it the value of 20px. And let me copy up this value over here and again paste it over here, and let us go back and refresh this. So if we see, we do not see any change. So the top 20 px means like there should have been some space above here and above here, but we do not see any space. Why? Because the position is inline. So what it means is like, please place me as per the document. So what is as per the document? As per the document, the first division is we welcome you, which is this. We can see out here the first division is we welcome you, which is coming up, and it is of type display block, and that's why it is taking the complete width irrespective of the size of the screen. Then we have chat box 1. Here also we have chat box 1, the complete width. Then we have chat box, like again the test, the another element. Then we have this element which was like just background color. And we also have the chat box, which is nothing but fixed, and as it is fixed, that's why it is coming at very bottom. And at the end we have this sticky div, which is again nothing but uh, a sticky division, which is over here. I am sticky div. So we have all these divisions, and like they are all in line, and top, left, bottom, right will not make any difference because we have marked them in line. But if we would have marked them relative instead, if I have marked them relative instead and save it, and let me even save the home file, go back over here and hit an enter. So you see over here that a gap has been taken up at the very top. In the similar way, both of them have moved like 20 pixels below simultaneously. That's why we can see up over here, because like we can verify this blue image, like there, this image is also 20 pixel down. If I go ahead and like change it to 10 pixels for above, then there will be a gap between them also. So now you see that there is a gap between them also, right? So how it is possible? So relative means like with relative, top, left, right, bottom, these like four properties work. And what it means is like with your current position, with your inline position, when we were inline, when our position was inline, so in inline our position of this red division was just below we welcome you, but we said that after this position please make it down by 10 pixel. So with relative, basically these things work, and like this is how it ends up. But there is an issue with relative. So now this element is within this relative block. Now what if we want to manage this element? Should we also give it relative? No. Relative inside relative does not work. A child element relates to the parent element with an absolute tab. For example, if I go over here and say that this particular I button is of chat icon class, which is already there, and the below one is for chat icon 1. Let us take it this way, and this one is chat icon 0. So we in total we have like 3 chat icons. One is the fixed one, which is very at the very bottom one place. Then we have chat icon 1 and chat icon 0. So we have to alter chat icon 0 and chat icon 1 as of now. So I will just move back to my website, and let me go back to our mobile view, which is much better. Right now, let us do one thing. I will just copy this word with the chat icon 0 and say that this chat icon 0 is positioned absolute, but chat icon 1 will be positioned relative, right? And let me mark it as 30, and let me mark it as say 50. So there will be a gap between them. Let's see them, and here I will just hit an enter. So let me shift to the mobile view again, and now I will just delete these two properties again and save it, and just again redo it. So you see now things are good again. Now things are not overlapping with each other. And why it was happening? Because relative takes this top position from the mobile. So even though this particular thing, this particular icon is a child of this division, which is the red dotted line, still when we say that the position is relative, then its position will be measured with respect to the main screen, not the parent element. So the parent element of this particular element, like this fabulous icon, is this division, right? Now what I will do is I will go back over here and paste both of these things, and rather than relative I will just mark them absolute, both of them. And when I will hit an enter, so if you see over here, like, the things are not good. But what one thing we can say for confirm is, like, the division itself is of a single line. It means that it does not have any height, although we have something contained within it. So what I will do is I will just give it some height. So there is a property, CSS property called as height. So I am giving it a height of 85 px. So that should work as per me. And let me save it, and let me just say okay. So now again we are back to the same thing. Now let's say we have to move up this element to the middle. So what I can do is I will just say that this is an absolute, and please mark it to the middle. Say left should be 40%. And 40% of what? So if you see over here in line number 33, in the division, it was relative, we have not taken the percentage. So here with relative, we are not taking top as percentage. If you will take top as percentage, things might not go well, because the actual screen size can scroll. But here, as we have already fixed up the division of the parent, we are saying it as 40%. Child is equal to 40%. Let me save it and hit an enter. So you see this button comes to the center. Now if you want to, like, have this particular element towards the right, what I can do is I can just go over here, and I'm not sure if the float property works with this. So let me say float right, and let me hit an enter. So the float property does not works with this absolute thing. So here you will have to say something like left, or you can even say right, equal to minus 80%. If you want to give some negative values, so you can give some negative values, and it has went somewhat far. Let me say 0, right? And let us see. So this works. So right, 0 works. So in a similar way you can also, like, do a lot of thinking, but the main point is relative is something which takes up the reference of the main screen as for top, right, bottom, and left. But for absolute, it will be taking up the top, right, bottom, left of the parent, not of the main screen. So even over here, if I go ahead and say top 20% or 20 pixels, say, so I'm just moving up the chat icon 0, so it has moved down. So now let us go ahead and understand something about Z index. What exactly is Z index? To do so, let me go back over here and say the position to be relative, and let me move it to top. Again, it is moving 30%, and let us not move this division. Let me delete both of these things, and let me say that the background color be brown of 1, and the background color will be, say, cyan of 1. Let me come back over here. Let me delete these icons. These are not required for this tutorial. Let us have only these divisions. Let me save it, come back, hit an enter. So this is what we have as of now. We have these two divisions. One is the cyan division and second is the red division. And if you see that the width of this bluish color is less than the red one, whereas over here if we see that the height of both the chat box test 1 and test is same. So why is the width varying, like this height, not the width, sorry, this height? Why is this height less for this bluish color rather than this red color? So the answer to your question is like, this is because some part of this blue color is behind this red color, because red color was defined later in HTML. That's why it has the priority higher than the blue one, and that's why it is visible over blue. What if you want the blue one to be above it? What you can do, you can do it in two ways. One is you can define z index of the first chat box first and say z index, and just give it the value of -10. Let me save it and let me run it. So now if you see that the width, the height of the bluish color is greater than the red color. So let me come back over here, and rather than putting -1 over here, I will just say z index, and I will just say 10. 10. So z index is nothing but a property which defines like which element should be on the top. You can see again this is on the top. If I remove it completely, that will go back again. It has went back again. So that index defines like which element should be on the top. So when you have few oval elements like overlapping with each other, like with a click, you want an image to disappear and another image to come. So how will you do it? Whenever there will be a click, you will define like you can take it using JavaScript. Obviously this is the controlling language, we have not discussed about it. You can just understand the scenario. You can, using JavaScript, you will like just take up the click, and as the click happen, you will like make the display of first image to be none. Right, when you make the display of the first image to be none, the image behind it will be visible. So you can make a stack of images one over another each other, and like as the clicks happens or like as the button clicks happen, you can remove one of them. So this is how like the coding is done. So there these things like the display block, display none, these things, the CSS values, these parameters can be changed dynamically using JavaScript. And this is how like all of these carousel and all other things are being made. So the next thing which we will talk about today is margins and padding. So what exactly are margins and padding? So again, for this we will be taking up the same example over here, but this time we will go to the HTML and write something over here and say paragraph, and let me write in a paragraph, I am the text. So I have written it in just the background color. Let me put it up over here maybe, and save it, and let me put it over here as well and save it, and let me then enter. So both the areas we have a text. Now let us see what is the difference between margin and padding. So if I go ahead over here, and over here I will just say margin and say 30 px, and let me say margin top. Again, you can define margin top, right? So many things. So I will just say margin top, and this margin top is 30 px, and let me save it and let me hit and enter. So you see that there is a margin of 30 px above this thing. So even if like this margin works, even if this is inline, so I can just take both of them inline rather than relative, and let me again go back. So you see that the now the height of both of them are same, because this element top 30 has stopped working, but the margin is still working. We have a margin of 30 above, but if you see the margin is outside this border. So anything like which is outside the border is the margin, anything which is inside the border is padding. So I will just go back over here, and here I will just say On the upper one, I'm just saying padding top, again 30 px. Let me save it, and here come back and let me hit an enter. So you can see that now the text has moved from above to down. So padding is inside the box, margin is outside the box. When you say padding is happening, it is happening inside the box. When you say margin, it is happening outside the box. So next thing for today will be the hyperlink property of HTML. What exactly this is. So here, rather than having this text, I will just paste up a reference. So I will paste up something like this, and let me delete all of them, and inside this a tag, let me just write some words. So I'm deleting all of it. This I just have a tag. Inside this a tag, let me write I am the hyperlink, and here I should just mention the href property, which will be say www.google.com, and let me save it, and let me go back over here. So you see this, like the color of this has been changed, and now this is nothing but a hyperlink. What is hyperlink? If I click over here, it will take me up to google.com, www.google.com. It is just adding up this thing over here because we have this on local. Anyhow, like this, you can see at the very top it is taking us to google.com. So how it happened is like this happened because of this href property. So I can just type in over here http colon complete address, and let me check it now. Let me click over here on this link, and if I click over here on this link, it takes me to this page, but again I have some mistake. It is http, not http. So again, let me go back to this page, and now we see that we are going to Google. If I click over here, we will go to google.com. So this is hyperlink. Hyperlink is to connect a text, a image, anything into a form. When it is clicked, it will take us to another page. And how it is done? It is done using this fetch property. And inside this property, what I will take is, now I will just take an image. So image is img in HTML, and I will just hit an enter, and I will just close this img, and we will define the image source. We have closed this img. So let me get back this over here, and is in this image, let me define the source. Before defining the source, I will just paste few images. So here we have these images in our asset folders. We have these fonts and images. Let me just copy them and paste it on my desktop folder and paste it over here. So in images, we have an image called as background.jpg. So here in this place, I will just say image and then background.jpg. So this image will also be clickable, and if I go back over here, enter, so we have this image. If I click on this image, it will take me up to Google. So why we do not see up this image? I can just how I can interpret it. I can interpret it using the this elements tag, and here we find that it is in file image. It is trying to find in some location which is something like this, which is file double colon. So this is not the right location, right? I want the right location of this image, so I will just go over here and I will copy up this URL. So this is my image location and this is my URL. I will just copy up this complete URL. So anyhow, in your website, when you will deploy it to the server, it should remain something like this. So on server, this path is measured with the current directory. So what you can do is, on server, you can just mark up a dot over here. So here also you can mark up a dot over here, which means the current directory, and after the current directory we have image and then we have background. Let me save it up, and hit an enter. So here you see the image, but the image size is going very big as per the division. So what I will do is I will just give this image a class and say it controlled height, and even the width. So let us take this class only. Let me go over here, let me paste it, and let me give the height and width of this image. So let me give the height to be 30 pixel, and let me give the width again to be 30 pixel as well. Let me save it and go back over and hit an enter. So you see that we have an image over here. So just to increase it, let us say it as 80 and again 80, and let me save it, and we have this image. If I click on this image, it will take me to google.com. So this brings this chapter to the close, and like in the next chapter we will be discussing about bootstrap, some key concepts about bootstrap, say such as grid and some other major elements, and then we will also talk about javascript. So hope like you were able to catch up with HTML and CSS and you will be able to use it by yourself. If you like the video, please do like subscribe my channel and please do share up with your friends so that people can learn and upskill themselves. Thank you guys. Have a great day.